All right, Wall fans, common sensors, social media world, podcast consumers. Welcome to episode 67 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I am your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. We got a lot of good stuff tonight. If you watched the teaser, you know we're going to try to avoid the F-bombs tonight because we were just like rampant with them last week. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my absolute best. We'll see how that goes. But I got a lot of good stuff, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. We got Jen on the live feed here. I'm sure we will have Bridget and or Chris very shortly. So settle in, grab a drink, and enjoy episode 67 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. Let's get into it. Alright, Wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers. Welcome to episode 67 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I am, of course, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and we got a lot of great stuff for you tonight, today, tomorrow, next week, whenever it is you are listening to this podcast. So, enjoy. Let's just get right into it. I'm exhausted today. Usually I have something anecdotal and funny at the top. I'm just tired. I'm not in a terrible mood. I'm just tired. So let's get into it with some social plugs. That's right. You can keep up with Go Tell It to the Wall in a multitude of factors. Multitude. That's right. Really all of your favorite social platforms. You can find us. First off on Twitter, @TellTheWallPod. Give us a follow. Give us some retweets. Do whatever it is the kids do these days on the Twitter. As well as @MagicMuppet. Just follow both of them. Follow both of them. Magic Muppet is my personal own Twitter account, channel, whatever the heck they call it. And of course, speaking of channels, you can find us on YouTube. That's right, on YouTube. Head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall podcast, and you will find our channel. And of course, make sure you hit that little subscribe button. Come back often, check out the videos, do all of the things. That's right. We got content up there that you're not going to actually hear on the podcast, so make sure you're also checking that out. And for those of you that prefer to consume videos of the entirety of the podcast, you can also find those on the YouTube channel. So hit us up there, subscribe, like some videos, tell us how terrible they are. Whatever you want to do, have some fun with it. And of course, we are on Facebook still, facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. We are live on Facebook tonight. Just have not gotten together to go live on YouTube just yet, but that is coming shortly. Really, part of the main motivation behind that is I'm sick of like mirror images that Facebook likes to do. They like to kind of own all of their content, and that's why they do that. They say they don't, but that's what Facebook does, and we all know kind of the muckraking that Facebook's been doing lately. So check us out on there, like our page, you get some updates, but keep in mind that you're going to get more content through the Twitter and through our YouTube channel. And most importantly, inclusive of all of those things I just mentioned, would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. If you can't find all of those other avenues that I mentioned, you're going to be able to just link directly to them through SeanO'RourkeLive.com, and it'll take you to all those things I just mentioned, as well as our Patreon page. If you are so inclined, please support the show financially. The more patrons we get, the more stuff we can do. That's kind of how it works. As well as our Indiegogo campaign that is still living right now. You can find that link on the website. It's on the YouTube. It's everywhere. Just find it. Bridget will probably throw it up on the live feed when she jumps on. So just click that link. Support us. $1, $2, $500, whatever it is. It all helps. And with your help, we can put more content out there, improve the things that we are currently doing, as well as, like I said, new stuff. That's what we're constantly working towards, is new stuff, as well as the high quality podcasts and videos and stuff that you normally get. So help us out there. That's right, Patreon. Become a patron, and there's all kinds of perks up there. You get mentions on episodes of the podcast, all the way up to like literally sitting in the studio next to me and talking on the podcast itself, or on one of our, YouTube awesome videos that go up there. So check us out, all those places I just mentioned. And of course, if you're not subscribed already, or if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, you can subscribe to the podcast itself, really anywhere you consume podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, all those places. Alex Jones getting kicked off of everywhere, but we are not, because we're putting out high quality content that's not offensive to entire groups of people. We're gonna talk maybe a little bit about Alex Jones, just a little bit. I don't have I can't get really into it because then the F-bombs will start flying. And before I forget, beer this week. For those of you that are new to the podcast, we do have a specific beer on the podcast every week. I try to find, local beers, micro brews, craft brews, all those kind of things. And this week does not disappoint. This one actually came out of my special beer subscription box that I get. And this is a tasty, tasty little brew called Hop Job Session IPA. Hop Job. That's right. I'm sure it's a play on words having to do with an innuendous, thing going on there. We won't get into that. But it's tasty. It's a session IPA, so it's not as high alcohol content as a lot of IPAs out there. For those of you not familiar with session IPAs, I talked... Let me get... I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast much. I've talked to people about this, and there's this misconception out there that session IPAs actually are higher alcohol content. But the thing is, they're actually lower alcohol content. The reason they're called session IPAs, this goes back to like surfing, snowboarding, and all those kind of things. Those crazy SOBs tend to be beer drinkers and alcohol drinkers, and this is something you can drink and still go surf, still go snowboard, still go skateboard, whatever it might be, and that's where the session word comes in. To be a session IPA, you got to be under 5% on the alcohol content. This one is riding that line at 4.9. 4.9. But like I said, it's a Hop Job Session IPA from Foothills Brewing. Nice little microbrew, craft brewery out of North Carolina. And they've been around since 2004. Tasty one. I've been enjoying them. We'll actually have another one from this specific brewery on a future podcast, getting through all of our awesome beers here. And like I said at the time, we are working on some new content. I've just been slammed with everything else. Jen, who is on the live feed, can definitely speak to this. Hey, Chris, and Chris as well. It's just been madness, and we literally have content like sitting in the hopper that needs to get posted, and I just haven't been able to have the time to do that. And then, of course, there's new stuff coming, including blogs and everything else. So I know I've been kind of teasing that for a while. It's just a matter of having the time to do it. Between making phone calls and dealing with a toddler and doing just the everyday content that goes up on all of our avenues and channels and stuff. So look forward to that. It's coming. Just finding the time for that. And I do want to mention, I want to talk a little bit about something else that we always talk about on the podcast. For those of you that have been avid listeners or even have just been a fan for a while, you know that we are... That's a good one, too. Kevin's pointing out that so people could drink at work. Yes, and I can get behind that. Although most times when I've been drinking at work, I'm drinking hard alcohol. Although technically I'm drinking at work right now on this podcast and enjoying a nice session IPA. But like I was saying, you know that we're big proponents of mental health, mental illness, and mental health awareness and defeating that stigma. And because of that, I want to talk a little bit kind of about what's been happening in my own personal life lately. It's been a bit of a struggle. Now, I can't even pinpoint this on anything specific. For those of you out there that suffer from mental illness, you know that this is kind of the regular thing. You can't always pinpoint what's going on, and that's what's been happening to me lately. I'm not sleeping much. I'm dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety. Obviously, part of that is having a toddler at home, but that's not the stress that causes me problems when it comes to my mental health. And in fact, I want to share this with everyone. These are the kind of things that happen. In fact, two things, because one thing just happened right before I came in the studio. When you deal with a mental illness like mine, or anything having to do with anxiety, depression, or especially OCD, OAD, like I suffer from, you tend to fixate on these things. You tend to fixate on certain things that can really take over your entire day, your entire life, your entire week, month, whatever it might be. And 99% of the time, those things that you fixate on really aren't directly affecting your way of life in that moment. They're not necessarily affecting your way of life. And what's been happening to me is, like I said, I can't pinpoint it, but there are things. And one of those things, as I was unable to sleep, gosh, maybe less than a week ago, it's happened in the past week, unable to sleep. It's early in the morning. And I'm tossing and turning, just anxiety and stress taking me over, and it's been a bit of a rough go. I'm used to it at this point. I've been dealing with it for many years, but it's still frustrating, and it still takes a lot out of you. And for me, the weird one, which weird but not weird because I'm used to it, as I'm tossing and turning this past week, one of these specific early mornings, I'm trying to get a little more sleep before my toddler wakes up, I started thinking about Christmas. And then I started thinking about having to put up the Christmas tree. And it's like, oh, that'll be so much fun. My daughter will be 2 at the time. She's going to really enjoy the Christmas tree. Then I started thinking about having to take down the Christmas tree. And that put me into this terrible, terrible, terrible spiral of anxiety and sadness. Keep in mind, wall fans, common sensors, it's August. It's August. This was keeping me up the other night. The fact that I'm going to have to put up a Christmas tree and take it down, and I don't want to deal with the sadness of taking down a Christmas tree personally, myself, as well as having to deal with it with a toddler. And we are, 3 months away? 4 months away from taking the damn thing down? Quarter of the year. It's August. But those are the kind of things that when you have mental illness, you have problems with anxiety or depression, or you're obsessing on things, which tends to be my biggest problem, especially with the OCD and the OAD, that's obsessive anxiety disorders. Those obsessions cause anxiety for me. And it's completely irrational. And I know that. But in the moment, it's hard to understand how irrational it really is. How tough it really is. How silly it is that I'm stressing about that. And that kept me up. Missed out on a bunch of sleep because of that. And it's hard. These thoughts just come straight into your head. In fact, before I came into the studio tonight, I often do this. I go outside, have my e-cigarette, Used to be a smoker until I quit because it smells and it's terrible for you. And the e-cigarette's still terrible for you, but it's my crutch. And I go out there and I kind of center myself and focus. It takes a few minutes. And suddenly I start thinking about my grandmother who passed away about a year ago. Then I started thinking about my uncle who passed away almost 5 years ago. And it started putting me in this really, really bad place right before I came into the studio. Now luckily it didn't become debilitating and I was able to kind of power through it. But these are the kind of things, this just came out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. And obviously everyone has that to an extent. I understand that everyone has that a little bit to an extent, but it's when you fixate on it, when it controls your entire day, your entire sleep pattern, whatever it might be, that's when it becomes debilitating. And those are the kind of things that when you deal with mental health problems, mental illness, those are the kind of things that you deal with. And I feel the need to share that with everyone, simply because, like I said, we're huge proponents of defeating that stigma around mental illness and mental health awareness. And we've hit a point, if I could tell 20-year-old Sean it's going to get better with society and people are going to have more understanding of it, he'd be just fantastically happy about it. Fantastically happy, apparently. That's a new Go Tell Us the Wall term that we're going to maybe start using that or something. Who knows? Anyway, I want to share that with everyone. That's kind of what's been going on in my life right now. That's why things are moving a little slowly. I'm lacking sleep. It's been a lot of stress going on lately, and it's just a matter of powering through and getting through it, and kind of looking at the brighter things, especially compared to like being depressed about a Christmas tree. Like, it's August. Not a lot of people out there thinking about a Christmas tree in August, but I am, unfortunately. All right, let's get into some social trends. Oh yeah, some social trends. One thing floating around currently right now on the Twitter and all the other social platforms would be hashtag share your rejection. That's right, hashtag share your rejection. So those are people that are sharing, stories of their rejection. And most of them, if you go and you search that hashtag, it's stories of rejection, but then persisting and getting past that rejection to moving on to something bigger and better. Looking back at it and saying, kind of a ha-ha, I told you so, whatever it might be. There's a lot of that going on. But I bring this up, search it because it's very uplifting. Especially, there's a lot of authors on there, talking about their books being rejected and everything else. And trust me, I'm very familiar with this. I am very, very familiar with this to an extent. I've been very lucky throughout my life and haven't had to deal with a lot of rejection. But at this point in my life, I feel like I'm dealing with rejection almost on a daily basis. Now, daily? No, not really daily, but to an extent. And that got me thinking. Because everyone deals with rejection. And there's always that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And based on that, I just need to remind everyone, regardless of what kind of rejection you get, you follow your passion. One of the big hashtags for Go Tell It to Wall podcast is have passion. Hashtag have passion. Follow your passion. And there's this terrible, a lot of people say terrible, I don't say terrible Disney movie, probably about 10, 12 years ago or so, many years ago, called Meet the Robinsons. But they had the saying in that movie, always moving forward. And that's the thing. Make sure you're always moving forward. As tough as it is for myself to remember that, I try to remind myself always moving forward, and that's what I try to do. And for all of you out there that are dealing with rejection or have dealt with lots of rejection in the past, that is the way to move forward. Just make sure you're constantly moving toward that goal. Everyone's going to have rejection. Everyone is. It's nobody's perfect. Nobody. And so you're going to have rejection, but just keep pushing through. Keep persisting. Always moving forward. Another one I found on here, hashtag transgender privilege. That's right. You heard that correctly. Hashtag transgender privilege. This is something that's going on, floating around the social platforms right now. When I first found this, I was a little bit like, wait, what? And I had to do a little bit of digging. Because I was like, is this somebody that brought this up? And they're actually saying that transgender people have a certain privilege? Well, of course, no. This was created ironically. And so people are sharing posts ironically. Now, of course, there have been some people that genuinely believe transgender people in the world have a certain privilege. And they are sharing those tweets. But for the most part, we're getting ironic tweets. And I want to share one of these with you just because it got me thinking. And I always like to think of the challenges that people deal with, especially compared to me. You know, as much as I talk about mental health and mental illness and everything else, the challenges I have faced throughout my life really are nothing compared to many other people out there. It's nothing. Nothing. It's simple as that. And I do try to remind myself of that. But I do want to share this one with you. Hashtag transgender privilege is never being fully content with your body gender, being constantly misgendered and dead named, can't even use the damn bathroom, and half of your family are alt-right queer phobic ass hats. Again, hashtag transgender privilege. This is something that people have to deal with on a daily basis. Now, I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to deal with that on a daily basis. I am a white male. I have to deal with a lot of things, but there are many things such as that I don't have to deal with on a daily basis. And I think we need to keep that in mind, that there are many people out there going through things much, much more difficult than what you're going through. Really, all the time. All the time. I joke with my daughter when she throws an entire plate of food on the ground. I'm like, there is a child somewhere that would love to have that food that you just threw on the ground. Now, she's a toddler, and I say it in a joking way because she doesn't know any better. She's just being a toddler. But it's true. It's 100% true. So keep that in mind. Search that hashtag if you're so inclined. You'll get some stories. But keep in mind, you're also going to get the feels. You're going to get some feelings out of that one. I hope so. If you don't get some feelings out of that one, you need to get your feelings checked. I don't know what you do as far as that goes, but get your feelings checked. Weirdly, I don't think we're getting a full count on the video here. People are hiding. They're watching this on our live feed, interestingly. Another hashtag going around right now, and this one's just all fun. All fun. And that would be National Tell a Joke Day. That's right. Apparently, today is hashtag National Tell a Joke Day. I'm not even going to go through any of those because you know what it is. It's just a bunch of jokes. And they're funny. And this is great. If you need a little pick-me-up, whatever it might be, check that out. Hashtag National Tell a Joke Day. You're going to get some funny jokes. And a lot of them are cheesy. I think people ran with the cheesiness on that. And in respect to the cheesiness that is hashtag National Tell a Joke Day, I've got a little joke for you, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers. And that joke would be, what do you do with a dog that has no legs? Anyone on the live feed, what do you do with a dog that has no legs? You take it for a drag. Yeah, that's right. That's one of my very special dad jokes. Very cheesy. I have many other jokes, but I felt that one was the one to throw out there. It made my wife laugh the other day. Somehow I've been with my wife for 5 years and I hadn't told her that terrible joke that I'm almost certain I found off a popsicle stick when I was a teenager. what popsicles was there was popsicles that had like jokes on it, and the joke would be on the bottom of the stick. I can't think of what it is, and then you eat the popsicle and there's the answer to the joke. Clever way they did that, and I believe that's honestly, I think that's where I got it, and I've just had that cheesy joke for many years now. Moving along, hashtag video game lessons learned. Now, if you listen to the podcast, I am not a gamer. I play Clash of Clans on mobile games. I play it on my tablet, and then I play a little bit of NES Classic, playing some Zelda, maybe a little Mario. That's the extent of my gaming. I did play a little bit in college. I played a little Super Smash Brothers back when it was on like the Nintendo 64 back in college. But outside of that, I've not played much video games. So many of these went over my head. Hashtag video game lessons learned. And there's something, like, let me just give this one to you. Don't be in a rush to complete the main story. Sometimes the most fun is in the side quests. Hashtag video game lessons learned. I don't really understand what that means, but it's probably some good advice if you're a gamer. However, this is the one that hit me, and this would be hashtag video game lessons learned. If you're the younger sibling, you're automatically player 2. This one actually did remind me of a funny story from my childhood, teenage years. I'm sure it had to be teenage years, early teenage years. I was actually up in the Bay Area visiting my aunt and uncle and my cousins. And my cousins were still living at home, obviously, because we're about the same age, and I was in my early teenage years. They had a Sega Genesis. And as much as I didn't play a lot of video games, I played Nintendo back in the 80s. I played a little bit of Sega here and there. And they had the game Sonic the Hedgehog. So my cousins had this Sega game system with Sonic the Hedgehog. It was old cartridges that you put in there, and so we're playing it. My cousin Annie and I are playing it. And my sister, who's 5 years younger than me, is also visiting, obviously. It was my parents and my sister and I were visiting the Bay Area. She really wanted to play Sonic the Hedgehog. Really wanted to play. So what we did was I'm sitting there playing, and my cousin Annie's sitting there, and she's, we're talking and joking around, and she's watching. My sister, who's 5 years younger than me, like I said, really wanted to play. So what I did was I handed her one of the controllers. It was plugged in and everything. But here's the thing. I was playing a one-player game. One-player game. And she was so young at the time that she thought she was playing. So she sat there mashing buttons and laughing and everything else. When in reality, I was the one holding the actual controller and playing the game. But she had no idea. So those of you out there that have kids or something, don't play a bunch of violent video games around your kids. But if you have kids or something, that's the way to get around it. Is hand them a controller, and they're not going to know any better. Now, they are going to hit an age where they are going to know better, obviously. But I think I was right at the cusp of that, and that kind of made me laugh because I had thought about that as I was looking through all these hashtags. One more thing I wanted to include in the social platform section. Alex Jones. That's right. Alex Jones has been suspended from Twitter. Not kicked off. Suspended. For 7 days from Twitter. He can't post on Twitter for 7 days. This happened a couple days ago. He'll probably be posting on there again in a couple days. But again, Twitter slacking on this one. Letting him stay on the platform when he's clearly violated many of their terms and conditions. And he's going to be back, and watch, I'm sure he'll get another suspension pretty quick because people are going to be up in arms about it, as they should, because it only makes sense. We don't need that kind of hatred and that bigotry and those blatant lies. I mean, the dude lies worse than the Orange Menace. It's just, like, you can call him out on everything. That's what he does. He lies. Absolutely. Ugh. See how long that lasts. All right, TV, film, and books. We got some TV news this week. Yeah, and some film news. Yeah. First off, I do want to point this out. Make sure I'm conveying this to all of you out there. America's Got Talent. It's a little show on NBC, airing right now. In fact, they aired a results show last night from the live show they did this past Tuesday. I bring this up not because I'm a huge America's Got Talent fan, but as I've mentioned previously on the podcast, we have some very close friends who are currently competing on the show with a little choir called Angel City Chorale. That's right, Angel City Chorale, and they were officially saved last night. They made it on to the semifinals, and therefore next week they're going to be performing on Tuesday, 8 p.m. That's probably 7 p.m. Central. It's got to be 7 p.m. Central. 8 p.m. They're going to be performing live. If you're on the West Coast, you're seeing obviously a previously recorded live performance. But I bring this up because I need everyone out there that's listening to this that has communicated with the podcast, any remotely a fan in any way possible. Make sure you watch on Tuesday and then cast your vote. It's very simple. You just go on a little website and you can do like 10 votes for that specific performer. And make sure you vote as many times as possible. Get your friends to do it. Get your kids to do it. Get whoever it is you can to do it. Vote for Angel City Corral so that we can help them move on from the semifinals in America's Got Talent. And we're going to continue following them, of course. And it's been a joy to see a few of my friends up there performing in this gigantic choir and doing a fantastic job on NBC. Again, next Tuesday will be the actual live show, and that's when you'll have the opportunity to vote for Angel City Corral. That's right, Angel City Corral. All right, moving on. James Gunn, still in the news right now. Disney has come out and officially, they officially fired him. I don't know why this has to be a thing, but officially, they're like, no, we're not going to bring him back, because there were stories coming out. Oh, maybe James Gunn's going to be back. Maybe they're bringing him back for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. No, they are not. They have officially said that he will not be back for Guardians 2, and this was really no surprise whatsoever. And in fact, there were some stories. So the head of Marvel, Kevin Feige, I might be pronouncing his last name incorrectly. Kevin Feige is the head of Marvel, the head of the studio. There's actually reports about a week ago or so that Marvel was meeting with Disney to discuss the James Gunn situation. Well, and he came out today and said, I'm in full support of Disney on this, and we're on the same page and everything else. And this is after those stories of Marvel meeting with Disney. And I can tell you exactly how that meeting went. Kevin walked into the boardroom with the heads of Disney, and Disney said, we're sticking to our guns, and James Gunn is fired. James Gunn is going to remain fired and will not be coming back for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think I was saying Part 2. Volume 3, I just like to forget that second one, that 2.5 hour long Baby Groot toy commercial. Volume 3 will not be coming back. And of course, Kevin Feige just said, okay, because Disney owns Marvel. Disney owns Marvel. And that's why he had to come out and say, well, no, the people that own the studio that I'm the head of said that he's not going to be back. So therefore, I completely agree because I like my job. It's just ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. A little more TV news. My absolute favorite show on television. Should be yours as well. Mr. Robot. It's not back yet. Season 4 is going to be coming back at some point here. They start shooting Season 4 in November of this year. So look forward to eventually seeing new episodes of Mr. Robot. But I bring this up because Christian Slater was doing an interview recently and said that he believes Season 4 will be the last season of Mr. Robot. Apparently the plan all along has been to not kind of overdo their content, jump the shark, for lack of a better phrase. And we could be seeing the end with Season 4, which is pretty sad, but I am glad to see such a fantastic show that, on another note, really deals with mental illness in a great way, and in a great way being that it's accurate. It's as accurate as any other show out there when it comes to mental illness. But just the content, the acting, everything else is fantastic about it. Like I said, it's my favorite show on television. But we could be coming up on our last season of Mr. Robot, which, again, not a huge surprise. Just wanted to talk about it because it's the greatest show out there, and shooting in November, so I'm sure we'll start getting episodes probably in the winter. If I had to make a guess, I don't know what their shooting schedule's like, but probably in the winter. So look forward to that. That's right, look forward to that. All right, we got a little sports. Oh boy. The Orange Menace. In fact, this was happening while we were sitting in the studio last Thursday. There was a bunch of preseason games happening, and of course, players on certain teams, a few of them knelt, a few of them, at least one of them, maybe more, stood with a fist in the air, and many players went back to the locker room in order to not even be on the field for the anthem itself, because they were, of course, continuing the social and racial injustice protests that we've been dealing with really for a couple years now. And of course, the Orange Menace, because he's got nothing better to do, right away, like clockwork, comes out and starts bashing the NFL and the NFL players and obviously speaking falsehoods They don't respect our country and all. No, no, no. Do you not listen? Do you not? I mean, like, we know you don't listen, but do you really? Like, get it through your thick skull. In fact, we have that viral video that's going around, and I would encourage you to check out Hassan Piker's rebuke of it, where he, I don't want to say fact checks, but really calls the guy out on a bunch of stuff because, dude, and it's just ridiculous. And these rants go viral, you know, and the dude's just an idiot, and he's sitting in his car. These conservative car rants that they're starting to be called now. Like, yeah, watching a little too much of that Tammy, too much Tammy going on in his house there. And of course, I've said it before, it's not a boycott. I'm not boycotting the NFL. I just have zero interest in it anymore. I have zero interest in it. The owners, who really make the most money, that's the thing with that viral video. They're like, these players are millionaires, and what do they do in the offseason? No, they donate a bunch of money, and they open schools in their hometowns. What does your Orange Menace president do? Nothing. Nothing. Gets his criminal friends off. That's what he does. Colludes with foreign powers. That's what he does. So give me a break on that stuff. But the thing that people don't realize is, yeah, many players make a lot of money doing that. Putting their lives on the line. You know who makes a hell of a lot more money than them? Those players, most of them are millionaires. The owners are multi-billionaires. Making money on the backs of these athletes who put their lives on the line, their bodies on the line every week. And they can't even get respect from their owners. They can't. The owners of those teams. They can't. These owners who get taxpayers to pay for stadiums for them. And that's why I'm just completely done with the NFL, at least this season. We'll see if some changes happen, but I won't be watching the NFL this season. I'm not calling for a boycott. Do what you want. I don't care. Personally, I'm done with it. I'm done with all of it. Until that Orange Menace gets his hand out of the candy jar there, or until the owners start doing something and speaking out about this, I'm done. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to talk about this little NFL story having to do with a specific player in the NFL just because I found this interesting. I found this very interesting. Rob Gronkowski, and I've known this for a while, but it's kind of coming to light again because it just continues to grow. Rob Gronkowski, who's an all-pro tight end, plays for the New England Patriots. Nice, he's got a nice Polish name there, so, you know, got to respect him. Some news has come out, and we've known this for a while because he kind of says it. So Rob Gronkowski actually doesn't spend his NFL salary, and in fact has been in the league for quite a few years now, and has yet to spend a dime of his NFL salary. A dime. Has spent none of it. That's the thing is, yes, you need money to live. You got a mortgage. You got to eat. You got to have a car, or whatever else it might be. And what he does is he pretty much lives off of like his endorsement money. So because he hasn't touched his actual salary money from the NFL, he is sitting on $44.5 million in salary, just sitting there collecting interest. And I bring this up because this is the way to go. This is the way to go. This is a great example of an athlete knowing that his time in the league is probably very, very, very short, and being smart with his money. And I'm sure he has investments and everything. He gets a lot of endorsement money and all. He has products that are sold through a website and everything else. So it's not, you know, he's got plenty of money. But that is a smart thing to do. Instead of going out and buying 18 cars, a bunch of jewelry that you probably don't necessarily need, he leads a simple life and he saves his money. And that's incredibly smart. So good on you, Rob Gronkowski, for doing that. And you'll probably be set for the rest of your life, honestly. And I mean, football players, they have a short career. They do. It's tough on the body, man. I played football as a freshman in high school. Pretty sure I got a concussion at one point. And it wasn't for me. I was way too delicate. Oh my God, way too delicate. I was also like 6'2", 6'3", and 150 pounds. I mean, I was a string bean back then. Maybe if I'd been the size that I am now back when I was a teenager, then I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have been as delicate. But man, too much. It was rough on the body. All right, let's get into a little parenting. Oh boy, parenting. That's right. This is our new section that we have been including in the podcast, the parenting section. And I want to talk a little bit about toddlers. And really just a little bit of what I'm dealing with lately. My daughter's 21 months old. She'll be 2 years old in November. We're just a few months away from it. And we're beginning to get to what is fondly known as the terrible twos. That's right, the terrible twos. You've all heard that. Now we have this new term, three-nager, when they're three. Terrible twos. And I see it coming out like crazy in my toddler. I really, really do. We've had a few breakdowns this week, just over nothing. Just kicking and screaming over nothing. And I find it interesting. My wife has been reading a book about toddlers and rearing toddlers and raising toddlers and everything else. And this made complete sense when she had brought this up to me the other day. We're at this point with my toddler, and really anyone that has kids is going to deal with this at some point, where there's this language barrier. Now, she wasn't talking when she was a newborn and then stopped talking. No, no, no. What happens is she's understanding more and more, but she's unable to vocalize what she wants to say. So then that manifests as frustration. And that's what leads to a lot of these tantrums. You know, you're going to a grocery store and you see someone with a kid, toddler, and the toddler just starts losing his mind, fussing over whatever it might be. You know, like for my daughter, oh man, I tried to put her in her high chair today to have lunch. She didn't want to eat lunch. As soon as I started bringing her toward the high chair, she lost it. Because she can't say to me, well, Father, I would rather not eat lunch right now. No. All she knows is I can't really vocalize, so I'm going to fuss about it. I'm going to make a stink. Make a scene. Not really a scene because this was happening in my house. So there's no scene happening per se, but that's what's going on. And I found that very interesting because when my wife said that to me like a week ago, I was like, oh my God, that makes absolute sense. It's absolutely what my daughter's going through right now. So keep that in mind. Whenever you're dealing with kids, whenever you have friends with kids or just random kids out in public, that's a lot of times that's what they're going through. You know, they can't communicate. They can't. Another thing that happened to me this week as far as parenting actually happened just yesterday. I took my daughter to the local park here in Highland Park, which we do often. We haven't been able to do lately because we've had this heat wave going on in Los Angeles, so we haven't been able to do it as much. Finally, it's cooling down a little to the point where we can walk to the park and she can go play around and not burn her ass on a slide, you know. And what happened yesterday, we're at the park and there's a few kids running around. There's a bunch of parents sitting hanging out. And there's this little like tree thing that my daughter likes to go hide in, and she'll look out and stare at me or wave to kids or whatever it might be, and she thinks it's hilarious. She starts laughing. She's standing in there, and there's another little boy about her age goes walking in the tree, and I tend to watch. You know, my daughter's at the point where she does need to be watched, you know, while running around. I let her run around, but I'm keeping an eye, you know, tend to be, 5-10 feet away at the most so I can grab her if something happens, you know. And sure enough, something did happen. This younger boy about her age comes walking into the tree, and he looks at her, and he's holding the stick. And I'm looking, and he takes the stick and he starts to try to poke my daughter in the face. And almost does. And then my daughter looks straight at me, didn't even say anything, didn't really know what to do because this is new experiences for her. And so he looks back at me. And I just gave him a look. And he knew he was doing wrong. He knew he was wrong. Shouldn't be poking other kids with sticks. That's not nice. Not a nice thing to do. So what he does is he turns fully around after he's kind of craned his neck to look at me, and he tries to hand me the stick. And I said, you know what, you keep the stick, buddy. But keep in mind, you shouldn't be poking people with that stick. It's not very nice. And so, sure enough, the kid walks off. And I go to my daughter. She's fine. She's, just confused by the situation. And of course, I look over, and the kid's mother is just sitting there in this group of adults, talking, jabbering on, not paying attention to the fact that her kid's running around with a stick and poking other kids with it. So this was actually officially my first instance of having to, I don't want to say yell at a kid, but scold another child for messing with my daughter. And it went much better than I expected, because I'll tell you, if he had hit my daughter with a stick, I'm not saying I would hit a child, but instead of just a stare that made the kid go, oh no, I know I'm doing wrong, there would have been yelling. And there would have been some talking to with his mother, who was sitting off to the side talking to all her hipster friends and not paying attention to the fact that her toddler is trying to poke my toddler in the face with a stick. Hashtag dad face. Love it, Bridget. Hashtag dad face. That's what it was. Bridget, I already know you got that stare. Like Bridget, she got that stare. In fact, I'm still sorting through pictures from the Star Spangled episode. Still sorting through, and there's one. Bridget's given that look to. It's not hashtag dad face. I guess hashtag mad face or mom face. It's probably just hashtag Bridget face, which I also know because most of the time I can't actually see her when this is happening. I'm pretty sure I'm getting some of those looks myself, but there is a picture that's going to be posted as soon as I finish sorting through all these. So look forward to that, Bridget. It's a good photo, and I don't even think other people would know. But I looked at him like, ooh, she giving a look to somebody off camera, somebody doing something. So look forward to that, wall fans, comment sensors. We got that's more of the content that's coming out. Still cutting videos and oh my gosh, I can't get through it all. It's just too much. Oh man, let's get to some tech. Some tech. Oh, some tech. I'm actually on time this week. I don't know what's happening. You know what? It's not a lot of rambling going on here. Not a lot of rambling going on. Man, and the live feed is kind of quiet this week. Which is okay, because we're moving it over to YouTube soon. I just gotta get through all that stuff. See, an F-bomb almost came down. There's gonna be one at the end of the episode. I already know it, but it's warranted. And that's gonna be the one for this episode. It's a little tech. Ooh, we got some... What do you know? Some news from Facebook. Oh my gosh, Facebook getting themselves in trouble again. What a surprise. I know. At this point, it's just like, I almost go on every week. I'm like, what did Facebook do this week? Yeah. And actually, they're doing a good thing. The reason I say they're always getting into something is they're doing a good thing now, but they should have been doing this good thing a few years ago. Apparently, on Facebook, for years now, and this is happening in the entirety of our country, there's an opioid crisis in our country. And for years now, it's been a big thing on Facebook, where people are peddling opioids on Facebook. And not just opioids, fentanyl. Fentanyl. Go ahead and Google who's died recently from a fentanyl overdose. Yeah, I'm not saying it's just fentanyl. There's all kinds of opioids, but people are searching fentanyl. And so what Facebook's done now is they've actually disabled searches on that. So if you go onto Facebook right now and you search fentanyl or oxycodone or one of those, I'm not up on all these drugs these days. When I was a kid, you had weed, cocaine, and you had crystal meth, but nobody's doing crystal meth. Oh, heroin. And nobody's doing heroin either. But now it's like, we have all of these opioids, and they have weird names, and sound like they're from pharmaceutical companies, because they are from pharmaceutical companies. It's amazing. Yeah, no, I don't mess with any of that stuff either. I've been through that rigmarole. Oh, trust me, I've been through that rigmarole. Not opioids, but I've been through that rigmarole as far as medication and pharmaceutical companies go. That is just a byproduct of having a somewhat debilitating mental illness. That's part of it. So what they've done is they have removed those searches, so that if you go on Facebook and you search for oxycodone, fentanyl, whatever it is, it won't yield you any search results. And in fact, it will pop up a link that's it's essentially like a "Do you need help?" link. I don't know the exact verbiage on it, or it's "Can we help?" And it's talking about if you struggle with opioid misuse, that you can click that link and get help directly there. Now, like I said, this has apparently been happening for years on Facebook, and they are just now getting around to curbing this. And of course, what's happening is now the dealers that are on Facebook are finding ways to circumvent it, and they are simply creating actual names that have those opioid names within their name. So, it'll be like John Fentanyl Smith. It's like, oh, I wonder what that guy does. I shouldn't laugh. We are in a serious opioid crisis, and it's a problem. It's a constant problem. I really hope that with the legalization of recreational and medical marijuana across the country, in many, many states now, that's going to curb some of it, because there are stories out there of people that have been on opioids, especially former professional athletes and the like, that have been on opioids and then are able to get access to medical marijuana, and there's stories out there where they have had much more success as far as pain management on medical marijuana. And much, I'm not going to go into studies and everything. I don't care what you say and all this other stuff. Medical marijuana, much, much, much better for you than opioids. There's no argument there. You can say, well, marijuana is not good for you. Fine. Is it better than opioids? Yes. No question about that. It's literally not even a chemically addictive substance like all opioids are. So keep that in mind. And honestly, if you need opioids, go somewhere other than Facebook, for God's sake. And it's especially scary right now because there are knockoffs of opioids out there. So people are cutting oxycodone with fentanyl. So you could be getting oxycodone from a dealer and it has fentanyl in it, and it could literally kill you. This is actually what happened to Demi Lovato. She had bought some oxycodone from her dealer that was laced with fentanyl, and that's what made her overdose. From what we're hearing. I don't know. Nobody quote me on that and say it's fact. That's what we're hearing. And it is definitely happening within the drug marketplace right now, so keep that in mind. And don't do drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. Drugs are bad for you. Don't do drugs. When you get to 21, have a beer. Mm-hmm. Or some recreational marijuana, for God's sake. Like, any of those. It's totally legal now here in California. Thank God for California. God bless California. Never leaving this state ever. Ever. Just not going to do it. Moving along. Oh, Elon. Oh, Elon. This, I mean, like, is he going to... It's fortunate that the Orange Menace... Not fortunate. It's fortunate for Elon Musk that the Orange Menace sits in the White House right now, because otherwise we could basically call Elon Musk the biggest douchebag on the face of the earth right now. However, it's hard to take that crown from the Orange Menace. It just... Yeah. I mean, you got to just walk around shooting people in the head, and maybe you can take the crown of biggest douchebag on earth from the Orange Menace. And Elon's, like, right behind him. And in Elon Musk fashion, like he does, he finds a problem that's already kind of been solved and is already being worked on, and comes in and says, No, I will fix this problem that you are already fixing. Much like he said with the Flint water problems, when he was just going to change out their pipes with the same pipes that they've been changing out. Not really fixing the problem. With the soccer team in the Thai cave, when it's like, oh, we have this solution. No, use my solution. God, biggest douchebag. I'm like controlling social media. We talked about this last week. Don't change your name to Elon Musk. You're going to get kicked off Twitter. Well, the Boring Company, which is, that's the company Elon Musk owns. They have proposed a Hyperloop to Dodger Stadium. That's right. Remember, we had this whole thing about the gondola to Dodger Stadium. We talked about it a couple months ago. My good friend Kevin, who might still be on the live feed, had actually sent that one over to me, interestingly, and then we included it on the show. So yes, something we already have a solution for. Elon Musk is going to have a better solution. Now, the funny thing about this is I'm actually, if it wasn't Elon Musk, I'd be like, cool, do your thing. Because the Hyperloop is actually underground. I'm not a big fan of riding across wires on a gondola. I got a fear of falling. Don't like it. However, Elon Musk, just go back to shooting cars. Like, go shoot cars into space. Like, that's really all you're good for at this point. I don't want to hear from you. Nobody does. We have solutions for things. Don't try to act all cool, puff out your chest. He's like the ultimate hold my beer. Like, oh, you got that figured out? Hold my beer. Let me figure it out better. Okay, but you're not, like, really? No, you're not even figuring it out better. You just want to put your name on something. You just want to put his name on something. Like I said, keep shooting cars into space. Get over yourself. Shoot cars into space. We got some news out of Los Angeles. That's right. In the next few months, Los Angeles, well, they're going to become the first city to use body scanners in rail transit systems. Body scanners. These are similar to like the airport scanners that you walk through and you gotta, do all the things, except these are just going to catch people as they're walking by. And in fact, they're able to do a full body scan. These are going to start rolling out to all of the rail stations. So this would be in Los Angeles. We have a very, very small subway technically, but the rest of it is all above ground. Part of it does go below ground as you get into Hollywood, but for the most part, our transit system is above ground or even slightly raised in a lot of areas, like kind of going through Chinatown and stuff. And so what they're doing is they're putting these cameras. They're going to be in all of the rail stations, all of the metro stations. And they're actually able to do a full body scan from 30 feet away. 30 feet. It's kind of crazy. Technology is crazy. 30 feet away they can do a full body scan. And apparently this technology is capable of scanning 2,000 passengers per hour. 2,000 passengers per hour. Now, I don't really know how I personally feel about this. I'm just talking about it because it's interesting. Part of me is like, oh my God, what an invasion of privacy. And part of me is like, it's kind of the world we live in now. We have to do this. We have to have these kind of security measures. And unfortunately, that's the point we're at. So am I going to sit here and say it's a great thing? No. Am I going to sit here and say that it probably is needed? Yeah, at least a little bit. At least a little bit. Oh, man. This one's... I've been dreading talking about this one. But it has to be talked about. And in fact, earlier when I was working on some show prep, I had to go walk outside. I even said to my wife, I was like, I'm going outside for a few. I was kind of looking through this and the details and everything else. And I had to just go outside. Just had to. What's happening? And if you follow me personally on Facebook, I actually shared this to Facebook. less than a week ago. So we had some rednecks in Oklahoma getting ridiculous over the past week or so. What happened was there's a school district in southern Oklahoma, which I went to find out today that they are about 90 minutes north of Dallas. So I'm terrible with geography, but it's a part of Oklahoma that's not far from Dallas, and you know I've known part of Oklahoma is not far from Dallas. It's the whole Red River rivalry thing where the Oklahoma fans are like, it's in Texas, and then Texas fans are like, but it's technically closer to you. Yes, whatever. Compared to University of Texas. Not that any of that's important. But apparently a parent in this school district had shared a post on one of these apparently private groups. But of course it didn't stay private. And I want to give you this exact quote that started this off, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit. So this was Jamie Crenshaw, who is just winner of a human being. We already know that. This is a quote from Jamie Crenshaw that she posted on Facebook in this private group. This is, and I quote, "Heads up parents of 5th through 7th grade. The transgender is already using the girls' bathroom. We have been told how the school has gone above and beyond to make sure he has his own restroom, yet he is still using the girls. Really? Looks like it's going to be a long year." End quote. That doesn't seem terrible. It's offensive, but it's not terrible. The real terribleness came out with the comments on it, where people were literally threatening a 7th grade transgender student. Threatening with violence, saying that she should be beat up, and that would take care of it. Also saying, and this is an exact quote, but this came from one of the comments on it, that a sharp knife would take care of that situation. Meaning that she should mutilate herself in order to solve the problem of being transgender. It went on and on. Disgustingly on and on. These are parents of children, talking about a 7th grader and threatening violence on a 7th grader. This is the world we live in. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in. And this is why I'll never leave California. You rednecks can stay in Oklahoma. And any of you transgender or confused kids, whatever it might be, find someone to talk to. Find someone. You know, if you're not sure about your sexuality, if you're not sure, you know, your place in the world, whatever it is, find someone that's not a parent. There are organizations out there that can help you. Most likely not organizations in Oklahoma, unfortunately. But there are organizations out there that can help you. And you know what I have to say to those parents? You should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. You should be fucking ashamed, because it's disgusting. I don't care how you feel about transgender people, homosexuals, same-sex couples, whatever it might be. You should be ashamed of yourselves. There's probably a reason that you live in Oklahoma, in this small town, because you don't realize you should be ashamed of yourselves. But it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And yet another reason to never go to Oklahoma. Just stay out of Oklahoma. Armpit of a state. God. Stay out of the South. Like the real South. You can go to go to Texas, you know. Stay out of the South. Alabama, Oklahoma, and all this stuff. Here comes the hate mail. I'll look for it. For those of you out there listening, SeanO'RourkeLive.com, that's where you can send me the hate mail, and I can laugh at your bigotedness and your closed-mindedness. But SeanO'RourkeLive.com, you can access me directly there. That's where I get the hate mail, because people don't like to put names and faces to it, so they just set up fake emails and they send me. And they're like, "You're unpatriotic. You love gay people." Well, yeah, I do love gay people. I have very close friends that are gay, and I love them. Is there something wrong with that? They are my friends. I don't care. I don't care who they have sex with. I just want them to be happy. So bring on the hate mail, especially from the South. It's probably Russians saying they're from Oklahoma. It's coming. So here's the thing. Oh man, just close the page on it. So let's move on to this. Apparently there's some controversy in Paris right now. Paris, France. That's right. A little while ago, they actually put out these public urinals out on the streets of Paris. Now, from the pictures I could see, it doesn't look like the streets like right out in front of a restaurant. You know, like you're walking out of a restaurant with toothpick in your mouth, just had a nice meal, and you're, oh, hey, you know, but very much near the streets, these public urinals. With pipe system that takes the urine out of there. And there's a big uproar. Because here's the thing, and I understand. There's big signs that have like a peeing person, and these are really for men. I assume I didn't see any pictures where it was like for in urinals. I mean, that's men, standing up to pee. So I didn't see any like women things, which kind of makes sense because you can hide a little more than like women squatting down and as far as the indecent exposure, which I don't. Do they even have that in Paris? No, I'm kidding. I joke. I'm sure they have indecent exposure laws in Paris, but it's causing a bit of a backlash because people are like, "There's a dude peeing right there." And here's the thing: is I get both sides on this. Because like I said, it's just like this red box. It looks like you're walking up to like a mailbox where you put packages in, and then there's a dude with his penis in there, and he's peeing. Not like in there, but like up against it, and he's peeing. So I see both sides of this because it's a little weird, and it is setting a certain precedent. I could see if I had a son and he saw that and like, oh my god, we can do that. And he's just like in the street. You're like, oh wait, no, you gotta use the thing. This is probably not tall enough for your kid. So you're like, oh my god, what do I do? However, for somebody that likes to drink beer and has a very, very, very small bladder, I call it the Irish bladder. I can kind of get behind this. I have had instances. The police don't come knocking on my door. It's been many years. I have urinated in alleys in Hollywood. Sometimes you cannot get to a restroom. And I think there's kind of both sides of this. And it makes sense because you'd rather have, like if people are going to do it, wouldn't you rather have them peeing in like a urinal instead of just like whipping it out in the street and like shh. It makes sense. But I could also see like, it's a little bit dirty and, maybe you are walking out of a restaurant and there's just a dude peeing there and you're like, what's that smell? And that guy's peeing. So I don't know. I found that interesting. We'll see. I doubt those will be coming to the U.S., but you never know. You never know. I would recommend putting one in the Oval Office, and then anyone that goes through the Oval Office that doesn't like the Orange Menace, I would just drink a bunch of water, make sure your bladder your bladder is full, and just go in there and whip it out and make that Oval Office smell like urine. It probably already does smell like urine. God, because you look at the Orange Menace and that dude just smells, right? Like he looks like he smells. Looks like he smells. I don't even feel bad about that. I don't like to call it ugly people, but that dude looks like he smells. We already know he's ugly. I mean, he's orange. How you orange? He's like orange as an Oompa Loompa. Anyway. We got some more good news. That's true. New York could use those. Good call, Chris. I mean, Hollywood too. Could use them. And it makes sense. And I feel like I've seen this in other locations. I don't know if it was other country, like not in the U.S., but I feel like there's another country that kind of did this, and it does make sense. I mean, and here's the thing, Chris, you can appreciate this. Can you imagine if they put like these outdoor, just had a bunch of urinals around like Dodger Stadium? Oh my God, it'd be fantastic. But then again, you're peeing next to like a kid. I don't want my 2-year-old who's like just learning to talk like, Daddy, what's that? Oh no, he's just peeing. And then I don't have a son, so it's hard for a daughter to just whip it out and start peeing. But still, like, and don't get me wrong, I have seen toddlers whip it out and start peeing. Yeah, see, that's a good point. You keep the pee smell off the streets. I think that's what Paris is going for. Anyway, we got some good news. A little Unite the Right rally that happened in Washington, D.C. this past weekend was actually organized by a gentleman, by a douchebag named Jason Kessler. Gentleman. I don't call anyone gentleman, and I'm giving this guy, like, respect? No. This douchebag, Jason Kessler, who had organized the Unite the Right rally, and I believe he's the same one that helped organize the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally. And of course, this past weekend in D.C., they were completely drowned out by counter-protesters and Antifa and everything else. Well, we go to find out a couple days later, as he was doing a live feed from his bedroom, that this Jason Kessler, who is an adult, still lives at home with his parents. So, white supremacists, bigots, Nazis out there, you want to aspire to be like the leader of your alt-right or whatever they call it? No, Unite the Right? They realized, like, we all caught on alt-right was Nazis. Now we're catching on Unite the Right as Nazis. You're going to have to find a new name here, douchebag Jason Kessler. But white supremacists, bigots, Nazis out there, you want to aspire to be like one of your leaders? You're going to be living at home as an adult. And in fact, as he was shooting this live feed the other day, I can't even say it without laughing, his father walked in the room, and he had to kick his father out of the room, apparently. And his father was trying to get him out, was going in to scold him for being loud or something. He's 34 years old. 34? Now, I'm not going to call out people for living at home. If you have financial troubles and everything else, maybe live at home. But you know what? Don't be a bigoted douchebag and live at home. Like, that's the thing. I mean, at least the Orange Menace has some money and he lives in a big white house. Kind of by himself. So, Jason Kessler, have fun having your mother cook meatloaf for you on a regular basis, I guess. I don't know. But those are the kind of awesome people you're going to get when you're hanging out with Unite the Right and Nazis and bigots and racists and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, maybe he should go down to that town where the school district had to close in Oklahoma. Go hang out with those people. Talk about mutilating kids. Like, that's, yeah, that's probably right up your alley, dude. We got some beer news. Oh, yeah. We got some beer news. So there's a little brewery out of the Bay Area, San Francisco to be specific, called Seven Stills. And it has been promoting an upcoming milkshake stout. We already know we're going in the wrong direction here. That's called In-N-Out Stout. And of course, they designed their can to look just like an In-N-Out cup. Now, In-N-Out sent them a cease and desist letter, obviously, and they were very, very polite about it. Had some dad jokes in there and everything else. So I don't think we're actually going to see this hit the marketplace, which is probably for the best because this was not only a milkshake stout, but a Neapolitan milkshake stout. I could see the synergy you're trying to pull here with In-N-Out. In-N-Out's very iconic in California. But good God, you can't make it look just like their cup and expect an ultra Christian company just be like, yeah, go ahead. Use our IP on your beer cans. Common sense. Haha, common sense says we don't steal other people's IP and then try to market it and put it right in front of them for them to just send you a cease and desist letter. That being said, now they're probably going to get a wider distribution because people are going to be like, Seven Stills, do you have any of that Seven Stills? I don't know, blah, 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 blah. You know I'm getting tired? Now I'm just going, blah, 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 because that's high-quality podcast content. Me just literally rambling. Not even the normal rambling with real words, just blah, 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 making up words. Blah, blah. I think it's just from being around the toddler a lot. And I do try to speak in full words to my toddler because she's learning how to talk. It's a little bit of a joke. We had some news from the Associated Press, actually, and we're going to have more on this. We're having some controversy in California. The legislature here is actually looking to change laws when it comes to recreational marijuana. Because what's happening is they're seeing not really a decrease in the black market, I finger quoting that, but in some places an increase in the black market when it comes to recreational marijuana. Meaning people are going back to buying it from a guy down the street that you know, and you call and say, hey, can you come by and drop off a little bit for me? People are going back to that. And California doesn't know how to curb that. So they're working on ways to curb that. Here's the thing. I am all for recreational marijuana, medical marijuana, nationwide. And I'm all for taxing it to an extent. However, if you're in California and you are a marijuana user, and you have gone to a collective since the first of the year, or since the taxes came into effect, you have seen, we're talking serious, serious taxes. We're not talking like the CRV and the alcohol tax they put on beer. We're not even talking about the tobacco tax that they put on cigarettes. No, no, no. It's immensely bigger than either one of those. So, am I saying you should go buy from the dude down the street? No, 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 no. What I'm saying is I understand why people are doing that. Because California's gotten a little greedy. I'm all for taxing and everything else. All for it. Especially if it's going back into public works and public utilities and everything else and helping other people, whatever it might be, I'm all for it. But you do need to go back and look at it and see how ridiculous some of those taxes are, because you're talking like not quite double, but almost double what you were paying with the taxes now. I know it's for a fact. I was just in there last weekend. It's a lot. It's not cheap. It's a lot. And I possess a medical marijuana license myself, so I actually pay slightly cheaper taxes than somebody that's just getting recreational marijuana. So someone just getting for recreation, they're definitely going to the dude down the street. They're calling up the guy that they knew like 6-7 years ago before we had these nice collectives and medical marijuana was a thing, and you can go in and I'm not saying we shouldn't have any taxes, but there was a time you went in and you didn't have any taxes on it. So it makes sense. So yeah, think about those things, California. I love you, California. But sometimes common sense. Common sense. Oh, and I just have one more piece of news here. Apparently GQ, that, I guess they're magazines still. Do we still have magazines that are actually paper? GQ put out a thing, and they have finally settled the argument as far as how long your shorts should be as a male. I assume as a male. I didn't go through this whole thing. And they have this whole equation based on your height and your leg size and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I read about 2 sentences of it, and I was like, this is stupid. And the reason I brought it up in here is because I say, shut it and wear whatever the hell you want. You want to wear shorts that go almost all the way down to your ankle? That's fine. We call them high waters, but that's fine. You want to wear shorts that are like cutting into your thighs, whatever it is? By all means, do it. Do it. Your style choice is your choice. You don't need a magazine telling you how long your shorts should be. I don't want, if you want to be into style trends, that's totally fine. But you know what? Wear shorts whatever length you want to. Do your thing. Who cares? Who cares? It's you. Whatever you're comfortable in. Who cares? Do it. Yeah. On that note, we are definitely done with episode 67. Thank you, everyone, for joining on the live feed. Thank you, all of you out there, for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TellTheWallPod. The Jorts, yes. And at Magic Muppet, both those on Twitter. You can also like our page on Facebook, facebook.com/GoTellIt'sTheWall. Make sure you head on over to YouTube as well. Search Go Tell It to the Wall, subscribe to our channel, watch some videos, enjoy the things, comment, have some fun with it. And of course, like I always say, SeanO'RourkeLive.com will take you to all of those things I just mentioned, as well as give you access to, I don't want to say exclusive, because anyone can go to the website, but there's images and stuff up there that are not posted anywhere else, as well as blog posts that are coming soon. And of course, that will link you to Patreon and Indiegogo if you would like to support the show financially. $1, $2, $500, whatever it might be. And that reminds me, I'm actually working on this. Chris, if you're still on there, this is our official Wall Supporters board that I'm showing to everyone on here. That's the official Wall Supporters board. I'm just sorting through all of this. Those are people that made a big enough contribution on the Indiegogo campaign, and they're going to have their names featured in the studio. I just haven't been able to hang it yet. As I said, everything's been a little crazy. I'm just trying to get through everything, anything and everything. So look forward to that, new stuff coming up. And like I said, if you want to support financially, you can be in the studio. You can be on this board. You can give $1 and get a sticker. Got a bunch of stickers. I actually just ordered some more stickers. We got tons of them to give away. So please help us out. Support us. And of course, make sure you subscribe, like, share, tell your friends. Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, whatever the heck they call it now. Do all of those things. And as I said, this has been episode 67. I'll look at the board, make sure I'm saying the right episode. 67 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I am, of course, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And we will be back next week. Same wall place, same wall time. And remember, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, social media world, no matter what you do, no matter who you're with, no matter where you go, no matter why you are doing it, always, always, always use common sense. All right, wall fans, social media world, thank you for joining episode 67. I'm exhausted. It's just been a long couple weeks, as I was talking about, top of the show, and kind of some of the stuff I'm dealing with and everything else. It's just, I don't want to say a struggle, but everything's just, it's a little slower, and I'm exhausted. I think I'm going to finish up here. I'm going to probably go to bed. Maybe have one more of these and go to bed after I finish up here. I got to deal with all this. So that's going live tomorrow morning. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends. Do all the things so they can get their weekly dose of common sense. And of course, check us out on all the social platforms, whatever it might be. And remember, wall fans, common sense, or social media world podcast consumers, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, no matter who you're with, no matter why you're doing it, always use common sense and never, ever forget the patented Bridget Freeze.